Okay, good afternoon. My name is Mike Spaiding. I am a founder of a number of businesses, both here and abroad. I'm also a senior lecturer at Anglia Ruskin University and the lead for the enterprise up there, which basically supports startup businesses and helps businesses escalate to the next level. And so I'm here with Doris, who's invited me to do a podcast with her, and I'm really pleased because obviously I think Doris is a huge inspiration. She was one of my early students who was the first person to do social enterprise. We had never done a social enterprise before. She came in, she said she wanted to do a social enterprise. She got her own ideas, and I said, by all means, let's go for it. And so, so I was more than happy to actually come and take part. So thank you very much.
Hello everyone, I greet you according to your location where you are watching us from today through Ambassadors Talk Show, be sponsored by PLMD. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us the opportunity to be able to express ourselves. We are indeed very grateful. Today is a special day. I have a wonderful man here with me, a mentor and a father, a man that taught me in my foundation year in the university, and in my last year he also taught me, and he has also been going with me, giving me counseling, advising me. So I'm really grateful to have my expander here with us, a senior lecturer, a brand enterprise, an enterprise lead at Anglia Ruskin University, strategy and a business consultant. In fact, or his title, I will not be able to say it, and he's also a project lead, and he's here with us today. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Definitely.
I am indeed very grateful. You know, when you have your father with you to come and see how you are moving, someone that has taught you. In fact, he taught me a pitch project for my foundation year, and that was where I picked up. And I told myself, you know, I'm going to face this challenge and I will face it. And thank you for taking your time, for teaching us, for coming to our talk show today. It's indeed a great day for us. Thank you so much, sir.
And it's a great pleasure for me to actually be here in actual fact. And obviously right at the beginning when it was just an embryonic idea of yours, yeah, Doris, and I was there, and hopefully I was able to give you some good advice and good support to help you to get you to here. So I mean, and this is just testament to your dedication and hard work. So I would like to say well done.
Thank you so much, sir. So today on True Ambassadors Talk Show, we have a few questions we're going to be asking you that align with your diverse experts, because your expertise is so diverse that when I begin to go through it, seeing what you've done and what you've done for yourself, you motivate me, and I look onto you so well to see, oh my God, this man has done a lot for himself, and you are so humble. You know, I'm not just the only one saying it. I know all my colleagues that were in foundation year, they still follow you. They still talk about you. They still say, no, Mr. Mike is such an amazing lecturer. He's not just a lecturer that just wants to deliver, but he also follow up with his students, you know. So I'm not the only one. It's not just for me, but I really want to let you know that all my fellow students that we are in foundation year together, they talk good of you.
Oh, that is that is appreciated. It really is appreciated.
Thank you so much, sir. So I don't want to kind of go stories, but I just have a few questions I will be asking you today. And the first one is, how can aspiring entrepreneurs develop effective brand strategy in today's competitive markets?
Well, I think they need an idea. You need an idea and belief. So if you've got an idea, you've got belief, you've got to have the belief to actually follow it through. Huge amount of research. So you can't actually just have an idea and think you can just start. Like you remember, you actually started to research. right from the very beginning. Because ultimately, you've got to start to validate your idea. You know, do other people believe in it? You can believe in it, but if somebody else doesn't believe in it, then really what you've got is just a concept. It's an idea. It's not going to go much further than that. So by validating an idea, it's going to actually see if it's possible that you can move it forward. Now, the other thing is by validation, you can also see if somebody is prepared to either pay for it or reward you for it. You understand me? So whether you've got a product that people like or a service like you that you provide, is it something that people need? Will people support it?
Yeah.
Okay. You went away and researched it. You validated it.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's where you are now. You actually did the research. You have to do the hard work. And that's where the hard work, but that's where the belief comes in, because you can't actually stop. Once you start, you have to go all the way. But it is about validation, taking a good look at what you're trying to do and find out really who wants my service, who needs my service.
Wow.
That's essentially it.
That's amazing, sir. Thank you so much for that explanation. And the other one is, what are the key elements of a successful business consulting, especially for small and medium enterprise?
Being a good listener. Being a good listener. And telling people straight, because a lot of people have got ideas that, you know, in most cases, have got no chance of succeeding. And so you have to be honest with people. It's no good actually leading people along if you think, you know, and so you challenge them. If they've got answers for that, okay, so from every challenge I give somebody, like yourself, I challenged you.
Yes, that's true.
You came back with an answer.
Yes.
Yeah, I challenged you again. You came back with another answer. Okay, and that's it. So you know then, so you know yourself. You've done the research. So then you can actually say, okay, you know yourself what you're capable of. You know the marketplace. You've done the homework. You know even more than me about this now.
Yeah.
So you've taken it far enough. However, if people can't, if you challenge them, they've got nothing to come back with, then you know they've not done enough research.
Wow, that's true, sir. Thank you so much. As a senior lecturer and enterprise up-led, what advice do you have for students looking to start their own business?
Everybody needs an opportunity, and you look for opportunities out there. So businesses are essentially opportunities, okay? Opportunities to give a service, opportunities to make money, okay? You actually took an opportunity to give goodwill, to support, to help, okay? So the first thing they need to do is try and find out what is it they want to do, okay? And what is it people want? What is it they require? And are they, one, prepared to actually take part and actually accept it? And will they pay for it? Especially if it's a product, okay? So I would actually say, spend some time getting to know your idea. Research, read, talk to people. Never give up on your dream. Because essentially what we all are, all business people are dreamers.
Yes, that's true. We dream. Yeah.
And obviously, and it's not enough just to dream. You have to do something about it. So you need to research, you need to read, you need to speak to people. And then once you've done that, then you've started to begin to validate that. Once people start to respond to your product or the service that you've got, that's validation. But if nobody's buying your product or nobody's responding to the service that you're giving, okay, there's no validation there. So you may need to start thinking about looking for something else.
So if after doing all this research, validation, and they are not still getting it, do they have to restart again, or what do they need to do?
I think possibly, you know what, the business, any kind of business, is also down to timing. It could be they've got the right idea at the wrong time.
Oh.
Okay. But like, you know, so people have always got ideas. It's about that opportunity. It could be what they need to do is look at something else for now. Okay, develop another idea, because all the research that you do in advance of that will come up with various other opportunities. You will see and you will find other opportunities when you start doing your research. And so then you may be able to go to in a different direction. Okay, take a different strategic direction, and nothing's stopping you to come back to that at a later stage.
Yeah.
But for now, move in a different direction.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir. I'm really grateful for that explanation. I hope my viewers, you put yourself down and really listen to this advice. Is if you're looking forward to start your own small business, you really need to do research before you start. You don't need to do it because others are doing it, but do your own research. Come out with your own brand and with your own idea. And the other question I would like to ask, how can individuals leverage strategy management principle to advance their career or business venture?
To advance their career and a strategy, I think belief. Having belief in yourself, and as you grow with that belief, you'll get more confident. And then you'll try things. Don't be frightened to try things. Okay, because if you try things and it goes wrong, it's how well you pick yourself up.
Yeah.
You've got to have confidence in yourself, that belief in yourself to actually show that, look, I can do this. Even though other people will say that you can't. So many students come to university and you've got family and friends telling them that they can't do it. Why are they there? Why are you there? No, yeah, there's no point. There's no point of you doing a degree. And I feel their pain. And I try to give everybody confidence. Give them confidence. You're here for a reason. Have that belief. Give it a try. Okay? And if it doesn't first succeed, try and try again. Keep pushing.
Oh, that's amazing.
Have the confidence.
Yeah, confidence, guys. Confident viewers. You need to have confidence in whatever you are doing. Confidence, push, and push.
And believe in yourself. That belief.
Yeah, and believe in yourself. Believe and ultimate resilience. You will be able to get answers. And the other question, sir, is what are the most important leadership skills needed for success in an international business environment?
I think we've spoken about this before. Active listening. Okay, people will always say you need to have some charisma and be able to communicate. But I would say listening. Okay, you can either listen from ear or you can listen in ear. And I would say listening from ear, I think, is more powerful because basically it's more emotional. And you got people with their own businesses, it's emotional. Yeah, it is emotion. So when you are researching, when you are talking to people and you're talking and you're getting that advice from somebody who has got that skill, who is a mentor, take it in ear. Don't just listen, take it in ear, emotion. Because that is hugely important. People are advising you. I'm not saying that you need to listen to everybody, because you can work these people out. Okay, people will always talk. So you'll have some people with negativity, you'll have people with positivity. You need to work it out because sometimes you'll just talk to people and people will tell you what you want to hear. You need to be honest with yourself because if it's not working, then you need to be the first person that says, no, you are wrong. I know it's not working. There's something wrong here. Okay. Having that belief. So yes, being a good active listener is also, again, going back to that belief. And I would say, especially with leadership and management, that connection, building networks with people, communicating with people, building confidence. And I think the more you talk to people, the more confidence that you build. As for leading and being a manager, so leadership and management, because essentially, hopefully, as you build your business, you want to lead teams, you want to build a team and manage people. And what I would just say is collaborate, work with people, get your team involved. You've got a team around your ear, and obviously they work with you. And you want to understand that when you're a leader and you're a manager, okay, you work for them, they don't work for you. Now everybody said, no, they work for me. No, you don't. You work for them because let me just tell you why. Because if you do not train them, you do not put the resources into them, how can you expect them to do what you require of them? So you have to work for them in order that they can do their job. Okay? That's what leadership and management is.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir, for that active listening. I remember last year when I came to meet you, my heart was so full of so many things. I couldn't really explain what I was going through. But you could see it in my eyes, and you were really hitting on the direction I wanted to listen to. I don't know how you got it though, but you really gave me that advice. And believe me, that advice took me through that journey. And today I'm really excited to tell you thank you so much. Because if I came to you that day with a heavy heart and you were not just giving me anything, maybe I would not have been able to succeed. But because I couldn't say what I was going through, but I think with your experience, you could sense that something is not just right. But you try to bring it at me. I said, no, sir, just I'm listening to you and I'm understanding every bit of what you're saying. And thank you. You've been that has really been amazing turning points for me.
Thank you, Darius. And
Thank
I
you.
think, can I just say to the listeners that you don't just listen with your ears, okay? It's all of you. That's it. And so when you see somebody is in some form of emotional distress, let them speak. Just let them speak. That's what we call active listening. Allow them to speak. Yeah, and I think it's a case of that. They need to unload and allow them. And with that unloading, find some kind of peace. But you also needed to reflect, didn't you? And and sometimes people reflecting on their day, their life, or what's going on in their life. And we're not talking about 2 and 3 hours a day. We're talking about 10, 15 minutes, just a little reflection on what's actually happening and how you can actually deal with what's actually happening in your life. Okay? Some different kind of solutions, but reflection is good for the soul.
Oh yeah, thank you, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for listening to me. Yeah, the other question I will be asked is, based on your experience supervising postgraduate dissertation, what research topic do you see as most relevant for today's business landscape?
Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah.
I would have said probably up to 18 months ago, everybody wanted to do a comparison, but post-COVID with pre-COVID. So what was going on, and everybody was linking it to COVID to the point that it really got so tiresome. But today, I think you'll find that what a lot of people are looking for now is they wanted to know about sustainability, AI, technology, that development of those skills. And I think the environment, I think this is a huge, huge thing that people seem to be talking about. So sustainability and environmental issues, social issues. And I think what people are starting to really realize is that, ESG, so environmental social governance, has become a major part of business and a major part of people's lives, and so they are developing topics around those areas. So it could be either social, environmental, or basically that governance, that communication side of what's going on, and people now are starting to really think a lot deeper when it comes down to their postgraduate dissertations. They really are starting to think a lot deeper about what they're doing. And I always advise my supervisees is to actually develop a topic, and develop an hypothesis that's going to help them for the future. Don't think about the past. Okay, do not actually do a dissertation based on the past. Do one that's based on the future. So it could be based on something that is current, that's likely to change in the future. The whole idea is to write a paper that other people want to read, not just your lecturer.
Not just your lecturer.
This is going to be a piece that the industry or the area that you are developing your dissertation in, that you want them to want to read, not just other students. So in other words, you need to want to take it up to a higher level.
Wow,
other people want to read this piece of paper.
That's really a big challenge.
It is a big challenge. Because you know what? Whereas demands are there, and you know what? I demand an awful lot of my supervisees, and that's the reason why I have got a very high standard. And you'll find that a lot of my students get dissertations. I think since I started doing the supervising, I've probably supervised about 21, 22 students.
Wow.
The vast majority got dissertations. I've not had no failures. The vast majority, and only two actually got passes. So got distinctions and merits. So merits are in the 60s, distinctions in the 70s. So I'm quite proud.
Oh, that's good. Thank you so much, sir. You are really telling us now that we should be really thinking of being high.
Focus
and think and look deep and think outside the box.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly it.
Yeah. So the other question is, how can young professionals balance academic pursuit with their practical business experience to enhance their career prospects?
Well, do you know what I mean? It's for students, time management, please. Do you understand me? I would say that coming to university should actually help you with your time management, and I do know that a lot of students struggle with that, and I think that people in life struggle with time management. But time management is hugely important. How you manage your time is hugely important, and for me, I actually teach 3 times a week, so therefore I've got other times, that's it, and I'm using my time effectively. Okay, I've just started to prepare and study for a PhD, so I'm having to do an awful lot of reading. So it's finding that time and making that time. So what you have to do when you are trying to manage your time is sometimes you have to buy that time. Okay, now buying your time means that if you can do your reading at a time when you're not doing much else, then you've bought that time that you can do other things. So as I tell my students, I will sometimes take the tube or the bus rather than the tube, because the bus took a 45-minute journey, okay, because obviously you can't drive, but I'd sooner that because you can't do any research. And I would read. That means I could read just about every day. So if I came to work 3 days a week, that means 45 minutes of reading 3 days a week, and then the journey back. My reading quota has been done. I bought that time. So instead of wasting the time looking out of the window of the bus,
instead of looking at your
I was reading. And
social media.
And today it's a lot easier because we've got talking books, okay? We've got podcasts, okay? So now you don't physically have to read these days.
Yeah, you just have to listen.
You just have to listen.
Yeah, that's true. You just have to listen.
Exactly.
And you start meditating on what you
heard. And you can do that while you're driving as well, can't you, Doris?
Yeah, you can do that when you're driving. You can listen when you're driving. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. It's all about time management,
Time management.
Even me, I struggle with time management, and that's one of the issues I faced submitting my assignment.
Yeah, but you need to realize that there's only one 24 hours in a day, Doris, and sometimes you need other people to help you in that sense, because you can't actually do everything yourself. So sometimes delegation, collaboration does help.
Yeah, it does help a lot. Thank you so much. So the other question is, what role does innovation plays in brand strategy and business development, and how can entrepreneurs foster a culture of innovation?
A culture of innovation can only be by being culturally or innovative aware. You need to be aware of what's actually happening. Looking at the news, reading newspapers, reading articles, but you need to be aware of what's happening in the world. I think today we've got an awful lot of people that don't read nowhere near enough. Nobody's reading newspapers hardly these days.
I know.
Okay, and we've got very few people, so only a certain demographic that are actually watching the news. There's so much actually happening, and so what I advise is, yes, there are topics on the news. There are topics that you'll probably see on your social media streams. Be curious. I'm asking people to be curious and find out more. And if you start curious, then you will start to understand from an innovation point of view what is actually happening in the world. And so then what people need in the world. Because then you can then start innovating to the needs of what people have. But if you're not aware of what people require, then how can you innovate for it? So you do need to actually be socially aware, culturally aware, okay, technically aware of what's actually happening. And if you are aware, then it may be you can come up with some ideas that's innovative enough that you could probably make, money from, or come up with a business idea from. Okay, but you need to be aware.
Awareness is very important.
Hugely important. Okay, and start reading young people or listening to podcasts like this. You are informing people, Doris, and your team. Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much, sir. And also, is it also good for people to go to like events?
Exactly. I think this is a huge part. This is a huge part of that. Getting yourself involved, learning, curiosity. Okay, living in London or even around the country, there's so many events. Birmingham's got huge event space and got so many events over here. London, so many events taking place. Get involved. Go and see what's actually happening. You will see so much information, so much innovation taking place at these trade affairs because people are wanting to get the public to see what is on offer. Go and view. Go and take part. A lot of these tickets for these events are free. But you will have to sign up to go to these events. I mean, I think in 2 weeks' time, there's a franchise event at the Excel Centre.
Yes.
And I've been encouraging students there. There's quite a few students, who have been saying, look, they would like to start a business, but they would like to start a franchise. They believe that a franchise would help them, to actually start a business a little bit easier than starting from scratch.
Yes.
And I tend to agree with them there, because if you've got the money, starting with a franchise, and we're taking something, I think about 20 students to the franchise show.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an amazing, Thank you so much. The way you are actually pushing students to actually build their brand is really amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
The way you're taking that step in ARU, and so many students now, they kind of find it very interesting, very inquisitive to build their brand.
Yeah, yes.
Seeing like us that have gone through the pitch project, what we are doing, what is coming out of us, they are really looking into building their own brand.
And having somebody like yourself, as we did for our last event at the university, having somebody like you going to speak to them, it's so inspiring. Yeah. I mean, you saw how they came to speak to you afterwards, after that event, how inspired they were.
Yeah, I know. They were so inspired. A lot of them were coming from me, and they really wanted to take that step. But it's just that foundation we had from the university. So there's a lot you can gain by going to university. It's not only getting the certificates, it's also going to help you build your brand, build the confidence, and bring the best out of you. I know there was a point you said I was very shy. I don't really talk in my 100 level, in my foundation year. But I was still just thinking of processing everything. I was really like into what I was being taught, especially when I really, that peace project, I really embraced it with all my heart. And everything was just...
And that was the birth of the True Ambassador, wasn't it?
Yes. That was when I started like, oh, this is the key.
And you believe it. That's when you started to believe.
Yeah, that's when I started to believe that, no, this is something. I wouldn't just... I think after the pitch project, because I wanted to let it go, meeting you to say, sir, you know what, this pitch project, can I use this True Ambassadors to brand it? You said, yes. And we started following it step by step. I still go back to all those questions I wrote and everything. I look to it every day. I say, no, I've got this, and there's one I haven't got. I still need to get it, and I still need to get there.
And that just goes to show, Doris, sorry to cut you there, that just goes to show the importance of a business plan. Because the pitch project, what we taught students to do is to develop a business plan and to actually prepare for a pitch, a promotion, so in front of the camera. But you wrote a terrific business plan at that time, and we taught you how to do that, didn't we? And as Doris just said, that she still refers back to it. That's how good a business plan she wrote at that time. That you're referring back to it still today.
No, I still refer back to it. I still refer, because I hold it like a Bible. Just the way I hold my faith, my Bible, that's the way I hold that pitch project. I still have it with me. I didn't let it go off me. Thank you so much, sir, because words are not enough for us to say thank you. And we are lucky to have you at Anglia Ruskin University.
Thank you very much.
So the next question I want to ask, what are the key challenges in brand entry strategy?
I would say every business needs to have a market entry. How do you reach your potential customers?
Oh my God,
So you need to understand how you reach these people. And so that's it. And that's again where another more research comes in. You need to know who your customers are. Who are they? And so right from the beginning, if you remember when we first started with the pitch, you had to do a profile. I made you do a profile of your archetypal customers. Okay, is those, and then what you do is you'll build your market development. So in other words, your strategy for your launch around them. So where do those people, hang out? Okay, what magazines do they read? What news? Can you remember what news and radios do they listen to?
What radio do they listen to?
So we started developing that. You remember? Can you remember segmentation?
How do you catch them? How do you bring them to your? How do you convince them to make them understand that this is your brand? You are ready to deliver. You know, which area will you? What are the words they want to hear?
Segmentation, targeting. What was the other one? Positioning.
Approach, positioning. Yes.
Positioning.
Yeah, positioning.
We call it the step.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
So the segmentation. Who is your marketplace, and how do you target them? And what is that market position of those people?
I know. Yes, I think that's one of the things that I really do in the charity. I try to understand people. I try to understand what area is this person actually going to benefit us, and what are we going to put in to convince this person that we can do this. You know, I take time to study them. I don't just go to say, or maybe when I meet people for the first time, I'm not quick in opening my mouth to say or say everything at once, but I just kind of understand the person, work according to that person, and try to position myself in that space that I will actually get what I'm looking for.
Exactly, and then you can build your strategy to actually reach those people, and that's it. But you've got to know who they are first, and what they're feeling, you know, and what's going on in their life, you know. So again, that's usually before you can start to target them. You've got to know them before you can target them.
Yes, you get to know them, you get to understand them. You don't just come with your own strategy first. You need to understand the next person.
Your customer base, your clients. You need to know who they are, where they are
coming from, what are they like,
what disposable income do they have, what's going on in their life, what affects them in their world and stuff. And so by understanding that, then you can build a strategy to reach them like you do. So in other words, you know, so how can I reach them? So now I know who they are. How do I reach them? That is entry strategy.
Yeah, wow. Thank you so much. I hope viewers, you're going to listen to this and you're going to sit down and think of who are your customers, who are your service users, how do you get to know them? You need to know them first. Don't think they're going to know you. If you want them to know you, you're not going to get anywhere, but understand them first and know how to approach them. And the other one is, how do you integrate your industry experience into teaching?
Life. Okay. I think, you know, I think I've traveled throughout the world working on various projects, and I love that. And really, you meet different people from different walks of life, and so therefore, as you meet people, you gain experience. And so I would say to anybody, whoever you meet, you gain experience from them. Sometimes you can learn so much from people, not from, you know, even from your neighbor, but learn. That's what networking is all about, by learning. And I would say that I've come into education to try and make a difference. I mean, if I wanted to just keep making money, I'll keep running my business, and I keep running my business. My business is still running.
I know.
So I'm fortunate that I'm fortunate that I'm able to come in to and teach and share my experience.
Yes.
And I think that's the reason why sometimes my approach is slightly different.
Yes.
Because you know, I believe I'm still one of you. So okay, that's it. And the other thing I believe is we never stop learning. So as my students come into the class, I learn so much.
from
I
them.
learn from them.
Yeah,
I
know
learn so much from
you
them.
always listen to your students more.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just, maybe sometimes you give the students the opportunity to be the teacher for that day.
Exactly. And,
you know, to
and
be
you
the
need
lecturer.
that. You need that because we need to understand who you are. How can we teach you if you don't know who you are?
Yes.
Going back to entry strategy, if you understand me.
Yeah.
So we need to know. So if you remember before we just came in, I got every person to stand up and actually tell me what are your strengths, where are your weaknesses, okay, and what do you think opportunities, and where do you want to be? You know, what do you want to do afterwards? I think that's hugely important.
Oh wow, yeah, it is important. Thank you so much, sir. He said, what advice will you give to aspiring business consultants?
Be a good listener, okay, and make sure that you actually are up to the task. You've got to have the knowledge. Don't go in there thinking that that you can just tell somebody with limitations. You need to be aware. That means you need to be worldly. You need to be well read and understand the needs of people. Okay, so yes, and if you can do that, if you are well read, you're well traveled, you understand, you've got quite a lot of experience, then share it. I believe it that you do share it.
So the last few questions we're going to ask is, how do you balance your role as a lecturer and as a business consultant?
Oh, well, I'm only lecturing or teaching 2 and 3 days a week. And so, again, that gives me plenty of time, but I also have to manage my time. Okay, now I used to travel an awful lot. I used to probably be in Southeast Asia every 6 weeks.
Wow.
Okay, so when I took on more time to teach, I had to stop the traveling. So I don't travel so much as I used to. But yes, as a consultant, I needed to travel. So I was traveling over to Taiwan, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, Taiwan. So all the time. Constantly over there every 5 or 6 weeks. We were talking about strategies, and we've developed strategies. My company still develops entry strategies for companies coming over from Southeast Asia who want to sell their products or their services in the UK and the EU. Likewise, we look after companies that want to get their products into Southeast Asia as well. So we've got that, and I've got a good team, so we're able to still do that. But once again, that being able to delegate and manage your time. I won't be able to do it without delegation, having a trust in the team that you've got, but managing time as well.
And you are also into fashion. So will you tell us a little bit about that? Because we're not gonna let that slide.
Oh my
Because I remember when you gave us some nice dresses, some nice top, brand new ones. You know, it was so amazing. And when we gave this to the ladies in the community, they really loved it.
Oh yeah.
And they keep asking me, where did you get this from? I said, please, you don't want to know. So, sir, how do you manage this fashion? We need to know more about that. Well, I'm so inquisitive about that.
I mean, I love fashion, and it goes back in the day when I was this thin, and I used to be a dance model. So that's how it all started. I used to be out there, and I used to travel all over the world for Next, Benetton, and all those kind of things. Wow. So that's where I think my love for fashion came about. And then when I finished that, I then started to produce. So my first company was a production company. And I would say predominantly, most of our business were predominantly fashion shows and events centered around fashion. And we still do today everything from London Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, Milan Fashion Week, going all the way back. So for nearly 30 years. Wow. We was doing presentations for Marks and Spencers and Next and people like that. So, so fashion as was probably with the start of my real business. Okay, that was where it all began, and so and I kept that love. So where did the clothes come from? Well, of course, a number of those companies from Southeast Asia that we look after, and certain companies from this area, we get samples. We're already promoting their goods here in the UK and the EU, and so the samples, when we've finished using them to try and sell and take orders, then we give to you.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Really love it. Yeah. And we're going to be having, we'll be taking part in what do you call this? Army Day. What do you call this? Army Celebration Day.
The remembrance.
The remembrance. So we're going to be taking part in it. Hopefully, you're going to help us with our fashion parade that time.
Well, do you know what I would like to do to give something back is I would love to actually produce a show for you. And when we produce a show, we like to do something basically in the community. So this is where you more or less operate from. We find a venue and big enough because we'd like to try and get as much, make as much money as possible for you. But I'd like to do that. It takes quite a bit of planning, but to give something back, we will produce a fashion show for True Ambassadors.
Oh my God, this is amazing! I can't wait to see. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope this comes true because I really love fashion, and I want to see that as one of the things True Ambassador wants to do in the community.
Well, if any of the listeners out there have got your own clothing brand or clothing shop, please get in touch with Doris, because obviously to do a fashion show, we need clothes. And we need somebody who has actually are retailing clothes. So this would be a great opportunity to actually show your range of products, and we want to do that. And so we'd probably like to do this probably about October, November of this year. And so that would be a good time to do that. So we will actually see it through. We'll look for some venues and see if we can do it.
Yeah, we'll look for a venue. I will also discuss this with AJ, because it will also help us he will come in and help us to get a place for us to do this.
Well, that should be a good idea. And do you know what we ought to do as well? Probably we could get some of the event students from the universities to help us produce it.
Yes.
And so we could tie it in to the university, and actually get some of those event students there who can give up some of their time to actually help us to do that's it. And this hopefully then should also help True Ambassadors, one, with money, but two, to actually get the word about True Ambassadors out there.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. I will look forward to this. I'm going to be planning it, and I'm going to be disturbing you every day.
No worries at all.
I will get that venue first and tell you, sir, I've got this venue, and we sit down again and fix a date for that.
Yeah, we'll fix a date for that, and what we'll also do, we'll have a little bit of a competition where we'll invite some of your viewers to come down to see if they want to be models for the show. So watch this space.
Yes, we're going to be doing that. Thank you so much. And the last question we're going to be asking, what are some successful brand entry strategies that you have implemented?
I think probably the one that I'm most proud of is that we did the launch for virtual reality at Wembley Arena.
Wow.
And so our company was one of the companies that actually did the press launch, helped to do the press launch for the actual virtual reality. And, and I loved it. That is absolutely fantastic because you're working out there. Don't get me wrong, I love producing shows, and I've worked, we've done some work with Paul Smith, Betty Barclay, all the, sort of Paul Costello. So working with some top designers and John Galliano. So, so we've done some stuff for big companies. But I think it was, because this was tech, it was so far ahead of its time that it was exciting.
Wow.
And so for entry, so it was a product launch, so it was entry to the marketplace, and so many people were thinking, oh well, how is it going to be used, etc., etc. And a lot of the ideas that we was using at that time for that entry, they used for the business, and a lot of what we was doing was we were trying to be creative, because we were trying to think how it can be used, because it's got the goggles, they've got the gloves, and they had this huge machine, a virtual reality machine. When it first came out, it was a virtual machine, but what we needed to do is try and make it more mobile. And so by talking to the engineers, they were saying that yes, it can make it more mobile. And based upon the idea that they told us and they developed the idea of Laser Quest.
Wow.
So Laser Quest came out of primarily the idea of that press launch, because obviously, so you could actually see people in the goggles and and actually have the battle. So that was the whole idea behind that. So you could actually have an internal one. You didn't need to, so I would say it's basically like paintballing but indoors. and it's virtual. So rather than real life. And so that's where Laser Quest more or less came from.
Wow, that was really amazing, sir.
Yeah, so that was about 1990. Yeah, about 1990.
1990.
About 1991 time. That was.
my
So that's how far
God.
back. So going back to that's virtual reality. That's when it first started. Yeah.
And you have not forgotten about
No,
it.
well, it was I mean, I'm proud because it was a UK-based company. Okay, so that's why I was proud. So from Leicester, and you know, like most things in the UK, most tech things, we develop a lot of tech, but because for seemingly in the UK, we don't invest in our own. Okay, and these guys had to go to Japan to get the funding for virtual reality.
Oh, really?
And we do that. Yeah, because I don't know why, but you know, it seems that you know our hedge funds, our pension funds don't seem to invest in our own tech. You know, and for some reason, and they should do. Probably haven't got the confidence in that, but we should do. And so a lot of our you know technical businesses who you know, and we've got some fantastic inventors, you know, innovators, and you know, and researchers and research development, you know, and they go in the world. I mean, you know, I invested in you know through crowdfunding. I found them on crowdfunding, a company in Nottingham that actually does you know gaming. Builds, you know, create games, you know, online gaming, and these guys have done really, really well. Now they've taken it to the next level. They're making an absolute fortune. These guys, and you know what? You know, they want to investment, more investment to go on to the next level, and it had to come from Silicon Valley because it didn't come from the UK. They couldn't get the funding from the UK anywhere near the money that they needed. We've lost our way in Britain, unfortunately, that we a lot of don't like to take risks, okay, and so we've got people who don't like taking risks, but we've got investors that don't like to take risks, and in most cases we don't take it's calculated risks, okay. They are calculated risks, you know, because I believe that a lot of these tech companies will move on and make considerable amounts of money, and so it seems as though you've got these tech companies in Japan and America and now China that will invest in our own where we won't.
But that's
and it's
that's
quite
crazy.
sad.
It's sad.
We've got quite a few individuals. So we've got some philanthropists who are you know quite wealthy who will actually probably invest in some people, but there's obviously not enough of them.
Yeah, not enough. Yeah,
and they're using their own money.
Yeah.
We've got you know a few big, large venture capitalist companies in the UK. So if it's an individual, that they call a business angel. Okay, so they are angel investors. They're angel investors. So if somebody is using other people's money, so if they get a group of people, a group of investors, that's venture capital. Okay, so venture capital. The only problem with venture capital is they want a quick return.
Yeah,
okay, within a couple of they want a very quick return, and you know usually within around 2 to 3 years. And again, they are quite ruthless because they want that return, and they want that return quickly. And I've known situations where they have sold the business or sold their shares to somebody else to get their money out, leaving the person with the business who exposed. So wherever possible, a business angel is possibly the better option. Because what you'll find is a business angel, like Dragon's Den, they what would you call a business angel, where they put their own money in, invest their own money, and also give some of their time and expertise.
On the business.
And that's it. And they're looking for a long-term return, so around 5 years. So of course they want to make a profit.
They're
not there for your benefit.
No.
You know, so but they want to make a return. So they will invest over the next 5 years, but they will then also make sure that company is working. So obviously they're putting in, but they want to protect that interest. So they will actually stay involved in that business until that business then can actually pay them back.
Yeah, that's true.
So angel investors, please look at them first.
Yes. So thank you so much, angel investors. You know, because if the government is putting effort to invest on it, I think it would be more better.
Well, there's a possibility there because we've got something called EIS funding, which is Enterprise Investment Fund. Okay, and what it is so for a business angel to invest, they can write it off to tax. Okay, so again, once again, it's a benefit for small businesses and business angels to invest in small businesses, and and really they will actually get a tax benefit, a tax write-off for doing it. Okay, so it doesn't mean to say that they're going to invest in anything and everybody, but what it will do is it's going to encourage more investment
Investors.
from angels and etc. And that's up to a certain level. Your venture capitalists will actually get involved in SCIS. Okay, so that is basically for larger companies, and that will be for anything, for things probably over $1 million plus. Okay.
Wow. For like small businesses, like small charities that are struggling with finance, what advice do you have for them?
I would say, once again, partnerships are also important, because again, if you, especially for a not-for-profit or a social enterprise, I would call yours a social enterprise can actually get sponsors from businesses who sponsor you, and once again they can write off that investment or a certain amount of that investment to tax. And this is the reason why the governments have done it, so to encourage businesses to invest into and give money to charities or social enterprises, and so that so they can actually get a tax reduction by for investing. And so, so I would say go out there and meet people and actually get them involved. Get them involved. Go out there. I would say, especially for yourself, go and join the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce have got hundreds and hundreds of businesses.
Oh, really?
Hundreds of business, members. If you think about it, that's why they're called the Chamber of Commerce. They are the chamber in London. London Chamber of Commerce have actually got hundreds and hundreds of members, both from hospitality. They've got universities, they've got big business, small business, TfL, all those kind of. They're all members of the London Chamber. They have regular meetings, networking meetings, events. You could also, and people can host events. So as a member, you could host events there as well and encourage people to come. You can put your podcast on there, newsletter for members to see. So, it's worth it. I mean, for a small social enterprise, it costs about £500 a year to join, and you will get it back tenfold. Tenfold.
I'll look into it, sir.
Certainly. Yeah, because you need to get out to businesses and let them know that you exist.
Yes.
And then, obviously, they will actually, because everybody wants to write their tax down.
Yeah, that's true.
And if they've got an opportunity to write their tax down, then, why shouldn't you take advantage of that?
I'm going to look into it because we need one of our problem is funding, because we are doing we are on project-based funding. So but we want to kind of expand, because like what we are doing in the community now, we do every Tuesdays, but we're getting more referrals now from the social services, from the GPs. So they are trying to tell us, oh, can't you do more days? But we are telling them that, look, this is all down to funding. Not that we really love to do 2 to 3 days a week, since the service user, the resident, they are enjoying the events. But it's down to funding now for us to expand it. And
join the London Chamber of Commerce. You need to start having some events aimed to business, purely aimed to business. So you can get them signed up as sponsors, as social enterprise sponsors, and so therefore either they could give funds annually or maybe on a monthly basis, which then which is tax deductible for them. But if you think about it, it's tax deductible. If they give you £1,000, you then get an extra 25% because they're paying tax as well. So that's where so you get two.
So I will meet you up for that, so that you give me the guidelines of how I'm going to join it, because we need funding. Our team we need so much to do so that we move on. We are really doing well, but we need more.
Of course. As you grow, you're going to do more.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. We are really grateful, and we don't know how to say how we feel today, but thank you so much for
That's enough.
raising us. And
That is just a big thank you, and a smile is thank you enough.
so, one last question I would like to ask: which advice do you have for our young entrepreneur, like the young ones coming up into different businesses? How do they need to face it?
I would say give it a try. Try it. Believe in yourself. Make sure you do your own work. Don't believe that, somebody is just going to throw money at you, because they won't do that. Okay? They'll only, if they'll only throw money at you, if you've got something that they want. So you need to do your own work. Have that belief. Put the work in, put that effort in, but give it a try.
And what about those that are inspiring to have a charity organization like us?
I would say find a mentor. Find a mentor, and because you do your own work, you need to find out who you're going to help. Build a profile of the people that you're going to help. Where are these people? Okay, what can you do for them? What are their needs? So once you've got that, once you've done your own work, then you need to go and find a mentor, somebody who can help you, tell you what the next steps should be. Okay, because it's not a one size fits all.
No.
Is it? Not every social enterprise are the same. So therefore, it's hugely important that you know who you are trying to support, and what their needs are.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, viewers, for listening to our podcast today. And please do watch it. You're going to enjoy it. This is a words of wisdom from, I would say, a guru of business, a lecturer. He got it all, He's a typical businessman. He knows the step to take in business. And that is why I always run to him whenever I'm stuck. And I'm glad that he came to the podcast today. He has elevated our stage. Thank you so much.
And thank you for having me. Goodbye.